still has his secret top laner.
Secret top laner.
yeah.
I overheard him saying something at breakfast this morning.
Oh,
which,
what did he say? What did he say at breakfast?
Well, he might be.
The coach will be listening.
He might be doing something surprising. You know, I can't go into it too much.
Would it be a surprise party?
No.
Could be. I think if anyone's going to bring it out, Plex would do it.
No, because that can be either a Mumu or Fiddlesticks.
The only
be.
slightly surprising ban we've seen here is Gangplank, slightly more unusual ban these days. Haven't seen it a huge amount in the Premiership at all. I don't particularly think of Exertus as being very strong with Gangplank, but obviously
Zergoth plays a lot of Gangplank.
Obviously,
very strong
Choke have done their research on that and decide they don't want to play against that.
So just looking at what's actually available right now, Lulu could be a priority for Luxi.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible advantage knowing that Special can't play that.
Yeah.
Because they don't even have to take it first rotation.
That's very true as well, yeah. We could see Sivir, Braum, or... Oh no, Braum's been banned. We could see Sivir or Lucian being a priority here for Choke as well. I think Lucian would make the best sense for Choke right now because putting Jokerism on something comfortable, especially against an AD carry like Gakis, would be worth it for Choke, but they've actually decided
I think Trundle's wise.
You think the Trundle's actually better than the Lucian here?
Absolutely. I mean, they've shown they can flex it, and there definitely are plenty of viable AD carries open. Whereas there've been Poppy ban. Trundle's probably the strongest top laner at the moment, and he's such a strong flex pick. So he's definitely good to take away.
Tolkien plays it really, really well as well. I mean, they can flex it like you were saying, but I think we're likely to see it on Tolkien just because
we saw it on Zoko yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those were in the games that he lost.
That is true.
So based on statistics, you know.
They have a 33% win rate with Trundle on their team.
33 win rate on Azir, just saying. 33% win rate on Azir.
Yes.
Well, Gragas is definitely something that Plex likes playing a lot.
I don't think we'll see a Kassadin. He doesn't fit into
agree
the
with
I'd be surprised if it was picked this early on into the rotation, yeah.
But
here we go. Lucian.
There's the Lucian. And they're actually going to go for Fiddlesticks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's a shout out if ever I've seen one.
They're actually going to play Fiddlesticks. Wow, okay. So Gragas could be really good here for Choke. The disengage to just knock that Fiddle away every time he tries to Crowstorm into these fights would be great.
Kindred as well actually works pretty well into it.
Kindred,
Respite down.
Yeah. That's a £350 joke right there.
That is, of course, the difference in prize money between 3rd and 4th spot here at the USO UK Premiership. But yeah, it could be the Gragas picked up here for Nutri. Of course, he also plays things like Elise and Nidalee, very strong on those, but you do want a bit of disengage.
But if he's playing against Fiddle, but one, the disengage, and two, he knows that he's not going to be against a high-pressure jungler earlier. He was saying yesterday how sort of Gragas doesn't match up as well into the Kindred, the Nidalee that can pressure him really hard early. Fiddlesticks is not going to do that.
I'd prefer something like a Kindred here, to be honest, simply because it could just sit in the enemy jungle. It deals with the Crowstorm, but he's decided, or Nutri even has decided, that the Elise is the stronger pick right now, and I think that he can still exert that sort of early game pressure, but I don't know how well that's going to work out.
The Jhin here, I think, is a little bit interesting. Picking it in this rotation.
Yeah.
I feel like into that Lucian, this could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely need some sort of way to easily disengage Fiddlesticks. Obviously, Trundle can do that, but a really big thing about Fiddlesticks is you have to completely change the way you play your vision game.
Yeah.
It's not like a standard vision game, but you need to know exactly where he is absolutely all the time. If you have one bush, one wall over that isn't warded, he can just completely destroy your whole team from that.
That he can. I think as well, Jhin very immobile into the Fiddlesticks. Something like an Ezreal or a Sivir. Sivir wasn't even banned away. Who can escape is really strong. So that's going to be Nidalee. So is it top Fiddle?
No,
Fiddle
it's more support, yeah. So that might have actually been a bit of a bait.
Not Fiddle support.
He played the long game mind games, where trying to bait Choke out into believing that Fiddle was in the jungle, when in reality they're probably going to put it in the bottom lane. But this is quite good for Nutri now to have that Elise pick, because he's going to be able to deal with the Nidalee in the early game.
Maybe they saw it coming.
Yeah, Nutri, this is why he's the super sub. He can literally read every situation that gets put in front of him.
It's a mind reader.
You don't just read their jungle pathing, you read their cheese baits as well.
Yeah.
Has it got like Braille on it so you can read the cheese?
So this is what we were talking about with the Nara into Maokai, something that Tolkien likes playing a lot, and we're going to see that picked.
Yeah.
We're seeing a heavy team fight comp coming out from Choke.
Lissandra is a really good pick for Choke as well, something they can play, something that completely shut down Exertus yesterday because it works so well into their champion pool.
And if Special decides to go for something like the Varus or the Azir right now, it's just setting up Choke for success.
Yeah, you can't pick Varus. Could always be the Nidalee mid. Or an AD Nidalee top is something we used to see long ago.
Well, with the Maokai picked, I imagine that is going to be a top lane Maokai.
This is Choke. It's Exertus.
They're
going to mix up a little bit. It's Sejuani.
These have to be placeholders. They have to be.
Maokai top, Sejuani jungle, Nidalee mid, Fiddlesticks bot. Done. I'm calling it.
They're
Korean
not
meta.
swapping.
Korean meta, I've
AP
called it.
Sejuani mid, I think is...
Okay, so...
Right, I knew it. I knew it. It had to be a placeholder. It had to be a placeholder.
Guys?
Had to be a placeholder.
Disappoints me. I was looking for some ball
Yeah,
control.
absolutely.
In fairness, I have seen, who's that American player that runs Sejuani flat AP mid?
Oh, no idea. I thought you were going to talk about Smithy and flat AP miss. It's skill, isn't it?
But like you can go like Leandries, like Heavy Pen, Permafrost out of buff as well.
If only Deathfire Glass was still in the game.
R.I.P. DFG.
If only.
Fireball death. Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, Zonya's pig is pretty funny as well.
Yeah.
Like Zonya's mid throw, just the ultimate star points. I'm engaging, but I'm not.
It's like either Zac or Elise. Yeah, Zac jumping up like Golden Gloop or Elise as she comes down, Golden Spider.
You could do that as
Beautiful,
well.
beautiful place.
So if we just have a look at the team compositions from Choke specifically, because we do know their roundup, you have the Elise for the zone control. You also have the Gnar for the zone control because everyone's going to be trying to avoid his ultimate. It's you also have the Elise for the early game pressure to try and set the lanes up to try and get them ahead, and they're pretty much going to be looking for these mid-game team fights.
So Fiddle was a placeholder. There is actually a Corki, a Poppy, and an Ari ban meant to be out here from Exertus, so they can't be picked. It's going to be Nidalee jungle. Now, what was
Fiddle
must have been a
placeholder.
mid-lane placeholder.
It was, yeah. So
that's a
there's
bit
the
more boring, guys.
That completely ruins everything we've been talking about.
So they probably told Choke. That's why he picked the Elise.
You have to assume that they told Choke.
Yeah, because it would be very unfair to pick a placeholder and not tell the other team. It would be just like, no, this Fiddle is definitely being played. Psych! No, so, heavy team fight coming out from Choke, and then you have a bit more of a poke siege composition coming out from Exodus. Somewhat of a pick comp as well, but quite heavy on the disengage too. That's something you have to take into consideration. Choke quite relying on these teleport flanks that they do have the double teleport setup available.
Yeah, I think a big factor can be, if they're trying to fight, how Choke managed their Mega Gnar and how Exertus play around that. It's definitely very telegraphed, which makes playing a Gnar comp very difficult. Because the enemy team can see it coming from so far off and just run away.
Yeah, they definitely can. I think one of the big things is that we've yet to see a double teleport lose. Renegades won both the games they played it yesterday in the playoffs.
Stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. It's 100% double teleport comp, and I much prefer a double teleport comp because it's so much easier to play that macro game when you're playing with double teleport.
You have a lot more safety. You can make plays around the map, but I've never really considered Luxie to be that kind of guy that likes to play around the map.
You mean Luke Easy?
Luke. No, he's
Lucchesi.
He's going Luke on that Lissandra. I don't know how well he's going to be able to use that. To me, he's always been very much centered around the lane. So we'll have to see how well he can work with that teleport and how much of an impact he can have.
Speaking of the lanes, I'm wondering if we're going to see a lane swap here, to be honest, because I think that might pan out.
For Exodus in particular, I think they want the lane swap to avoid the Maokai Gnar matchup. I don't think they want to go for that 1 versus 1. And Jin is quite strong in the laning phase. Trundle makes Alistair's life a little bit difficult. But if anyone's going to lane swap, I expect it to be Exodus.
The summoner spells from Exodus kind of lend me towards thinking they're not going to lane swap, just because why would you take Ignite on an Alistair unless you want to be aggressive in the lane?
Because you're a fool.
Well, yeah, saying you're a fool perhaps is the truth. But also, I think if you're running Ignite, you want to try and get those kills early. Late game, it doesn't really give you as much.
To be fair, on the Choke lineup, there's no one that they really need to exhaust.
No. Lissandra exhausts when she comes in is pretty strong.
Yeah,
Jin as well. Gnar, when he comes in, he can
but Gnar's not really going to be heavy on the damage. He's more going to be
a
more
Black
about
Cleaver
utility.
stacks or something like that.
He could do.
Even then, it's he's still not sort of huge burst. Lissandra is a very good exhaust target, but
we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, I don't expect a lane swap. I think they're going to try and 2v2 it. and run that Ignite and just go really aggressive onto the
Alright, well, I'm
Lucy.
voting for the lane swap. I think that Exodus will go for that lane swap.
Well, we'll have to see what it is.
Maybe after yesterday they don't want to.
Just saying,
really.
if you're wrong, you have to eat a shoe.
That's a very that's
only fair.
somewhat of a joke.
Only fair.
What if you're wrong? What do you have to eat?
I will eat some chocolate fingers.
What?
We're sponsored by them now.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's only fair.
At least you're a small guy, so I'm assuming your feet are pretty small.
Now here's one of my shoes. I'm size 14. Oh yeah.
I'm not eating a shoe. Is the bottom line. I will admit that you're the better analyst.
Okay. If
Live
there's no
on
lane
stream,
swap.
if there is no lane swap, you will become.
I'd rather
Listen
eat a
up,
shoe.
companies out there.
Just very quickly before we go in, I like Choke's draft a lot.
I like
I
it too.
think they have a slight edge in this game, and I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very good game. Predictions, please, guys.
Go.
I think Choke has the better draft, and I think they played really well yesterday. Exertus, I think they'd like to lane swap, but are probably going to be too afraid. And as a result, I think Choke's going to take it.
Just this game, or are we doing the whole series?
Just this game.
Okay, Choke, this game, lane swap. They're going to wreck it.
I think Choke are going to win this game, and I think they're going to get reverse swept.
Well, I'm going for Exertus. I think they're going to take it. I think they've got the better composition and better lineup. But we're going to have to see who does take it as we get into game 1 of this third place playoff here at the ESL UK Spring Split Premiership. Pass it over to you, Munch and Scoundrel.
Thank you very much, guys. Very aggressive prediction from Brixton.
Oh, yeah, he
Predicting
was-
Choke wins this one, and then the reverse sweep from Exertus.
Very specific there, Brixton.
I feel like he's maybe got some inside knowledge on that one.
Maybe he's just predicting the future. He has been a brilliant analyst on the desk for us over there with those fours. Sona is making this kind of face at me, but he's just the host. He doesn't have to know anything. I know that position. Anyway, we are into game here, ladies and gentlemen. It is the first game of the series between Choke and Exertus in this fourth place matchup.
Yeah, so these guys now, a lot of this is kind of not just for the prize money. Obviously, third place has a higher prize, but also kind of for dignity at this stage. You don't want to be, especially from the position of Exertus. Everyone was touting them as kind of the dark horse of this tournament, and Choke have actually really stepped up. Choke currently in playoffs have more wins than Exertus.
Well, exactly,
So
yeah.
Exertus right now, they kind of need to live up to their seeding.
Well, you said it beforehand. It's kind of the Nutri effect that he comes to lands and just has this impact as a sub for a team, can get them towards sort of placing higher than you maybe would have initially thought. And, winning that game against Manalai, even though they didn't win the series, really showed a different side of Choke that we just haven't been used to so far in the ESL Premiership. I'm also voting that if a lane swap comes out, it'll be initiated by Exertus. I don't think they're going to want to put Maokai into the Na matchup just because it is a pretty awful matchup for him. But if they do, that's the way it goes. You were talking about Maokai roaming the jungle in Nidalee helps her keep her fairly high health, and then if ever she gets the opportunity to have an impact on the early game, she's a little bit more healthy.
Yep. Well, so far it's looking like no lane swap. Sona seems very, very pleased with himself on this one, but we're going to have standard starts for these guys, which means both bot lanes are going to be able to take their Krugs and Gromp respectively.
Strikes me as a little bit odd, but then given that Wiz has taken the Ignite, you would think he would want to make use out of it in the early game. A little bit like Sona said on the desk, you definitely want to be looking for kills in lane. I do feel like Zergoth will struggle on Maokai, as long as Tolkien can do his job properly, but then we saw Rifty on Rammus have a really tough time in lane, but still managed to impact the game a little bit more than his counterpart, which was obviously Tolkien at that point in time. So as long as Zergoth can stay moderately safe, not get himself taken out in lane, not, I guess, essentially feed too hard, he should still have that impact as the Maokai.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, Maokai is one of those champions that realistically, exactly like you said, so long as you don't feed, so long as you don't fall too far behind in that lane, you're still going to have an impact later on in the game. And Maokai as well, one of those champions that the teleport flank from a Maokai can be absolutely devastating to the enemy team.
And it's a little bit easier and better time to pull off than something with a Gnar as well. Gnar, you have to be very, very good at managing that Mega Gnar form, making sure that you're fighting around it, because essentially Mini Gnar in a team fight is pretty useless, in fact more than useless.
So would you say then that this top lane matchup is kind of a matter of Tolkien has this for the early game and needs to really abuse this advantage he has in lane, because otherwise it might fall off later.
Yeah, but then again, what is he offering the team himself? He's not really there to carry the team, right? He's there to provide some sort of AoE CC in this team fight. As long as they're providing CC and keeping Jokerism safe, they still have the damage to provide them the means to win out the game in a skirmish or a team fight. Wiz is he's stepping up pretty close to Jokerism. Plex is now going to get on the wrong side of Nutri.
Here we go. Nutri going onto the Cougar. Plex does get away, but actually we're going to see him rooted up. Nutri doesn't decide to commit to that one. Does not want to get headbutt underneath that tower.
Yeah, Nutri already in position, having cleared less of the jungle than Plex, but was able to give himself a positional advantage. He's now going aggressive, just Plex missing the spear at the last moment. But yeah, I was talking about Na. What is he offering the team? Most of the team here.
Oh, Jokerism could be in trouble in this bottom lane. Actually, Gak is going to get locked up in the end, but Nutri is on his way down. Zoko gets a good pillar, but he can't quite get onto anyone, and Nutri going to have to back away once more.
So, as long as they're keeping Jokerism safe in their team fights, and realistically, although Lucchesi, I'm going to get it right, I will get it right. As long as Lucchesi is providing CC, as long as Tolkien is providing CC, you can allow Jokerism to do the damage from the backline. He is a Jhin after all. He does ridiculous amounts of damage and scales very well into the late game also. This is kind of what the analysts are talking about, though. That is just how much Maokai struggles because of the range discrepancy. He can't very easily jump onto Na and trade with him because as soon as he twisted advance, Na can just bounce away. And also Na will never really allow himself to get into range to make that twisted advance happen.
Yeah.
And then you just don't trade with Na in Mega Form. So all in all, it's a pretty awful lane for Maokai to trade into.
Well, so far he's doing okay in that one, still slightly up in CS. Plex actually hovering around that top lane just to try and deny any pressure for a little while, but Tolkien did end up basing. I'm curious to see, yeah, he is going to use the teleport just to get back into lane, so make sure he doesn't fall behind in CS while walking, and that is going to mean that with those top lane teleports on cooldown, it's unlikely that we see much kind of global pressure coming out in the next few minutes.
Lucchesi has to be a little bit careful here. Special just really applying the pressure. It is a fairly difficult matchup for Lissandra at all points in the game, really. And I wanted to pick up compositionally. I actually prefer Exertus in this situation. I think they have a lot to deal with what essentially has to be an all-in from the front line of Lucchesi and Tolkien. They have to go in to make their CC and their damage work, right? So Mega Na wants to get into the front line. He wants to get in there to use his ultimate, as does Lucchesi. You have to be within a fairly short range to use that Frozen Tomb. So Goth's just going to be careful. So you have the Azir, and that is always good against these type of compositions that have to commit to make their damage work. Azir is very good at saying, whoa, okay, step back.
Yeah, it's something we were talking about yesterday in that Azir is weak to poke compositions, but against pretty much everything else he's great. But here we go, Zergoth has managed to bait Tolkien in. He's in that Mega Na form, and Nutri's arrived on the scene as well. It's 2 versus 2 as Plex gets caught up by a cocoon. But in the end, they're both going to back away this spear, giving Nutri a bit of a haircut right there, but it's not quite going to connect.
Yeah, again, both Nutri and Plex matching each other blow for blow in terms of map position. And again, it's a part due to Nutri reading the map very well, but I think Plex is doing exactly the same job. Nutri had the jump on Plex in the bot lane, Plex had the jump on Nutri in the top lane. They are really going toe-to-toe here.
Yeah, here we go. Jokerism going to be aggressed upon, but Zoko jumping straight in onto Gakis, but I'm not sure this is a fight that they're winning. Ignite ticking away onto Jokerism, but here we go. Gakis getting flashed on by Zoko, who's trying to finish off the kill, but he just doesn't have the HP to play with. Heal comes out from Jokerism,
there we
but
go!
the double knock-up, and it's going to be a double kill. Exertus 2v2 the bot lane.
Okay, that was a little bit of a mistake on the part of Ped. He overestimated how much damage his Rabid Bite would do when he went in for the flash there. And because of the position of Wiz, Jokerism just couldn't commit anything more than his W to attempt to look for a snipe onto Gakis, but Wiz blocking that with the Alistair body right there. And then the flash pulverize, got a double knock-up. Gakis could commit with Relentless Pursuit. It was just really nice positional play from Wiz and kind of poor play from Zoko, to be honest.
Absolutely. And so far in this laning phase, we've actually seen we saw this composition from Jokerism and Zoko. We saw the Trundle Jhin come out, and there was kind of this, you would place the Pillar of Ice and then immediately go for the Deadly Flourish, and that's immediately you get that snare down and you get a good amount of harass. They've not been able to get that combo off this time because Wiz is consistently just blocking Gakis, so making sure none of those Deadly Flourishes are able to connect.
And what's even better about that combo that you were talking about is that because of the massive slow that Pillar of Filth provides,
it's just impossible to miss.
Also, you just walk up and you can get potentially that last crit hit from your auto attacks. and it's very, very difficult to deal with in a lane. But like you said, the positioning of Wiz has just been ridiculously good. He's always been body blocking Gakis. He's always been making sure that if anyone stepped up to the mark, he was always the one taking the brunt of the damage, and then Gakis is committing when he feels necessary. And a really good piece of play by the bot lane from EXT. And I think that's been a fairly strong lane. People always talk about the Toaster lane being a part of the sort of 1v9 carry aspect.
And I mean, yesterday we didn't really see Toaster being that 1v9 player that we've talked so much about, but maybe today it's time for him to prove that he still has it in.
I feel like he lost a lot of aggression in some of the games yesterday. We're used to seeing Toaster be calculatedly aggressive.
Yeah.
That's not even a word, calculatedly, but you know what I mean. He's very calculated with his aggression, and right there you could see he was back towards that aggressive Toaster that we saw last week. And so here we go again.
Yeah, Soko taking a chunk of damage. This time Culling actually going to come out, but not really going to connect too many shots. Jokerism going to be the target now as Gakis keeps on with the aggression. Look at that, going for the dive. Wiz on this front line, but Gakis was tanking the tower. Wiz still trying to go for this one, and he's nearly managed to finish off Jokerism. Just waiting on cooldowns right now, but will get caught by a Cocoon. Nutri's here, and he will be able to get that Venomous Bite to finish off the kill.
I mean, that was
Kurt Call actually going to come out. Gakis could be in trouble, but the shots aren't going to connect by the looks of things. Plex will be able to block those last couple.
Yeah, Nutri looking for the Cocoon. That was just a little bit of an overextension. Unfortunately, it was just tower mismanaged aggro.
Yeah.
Gakis was too close to the tower, started taking the aggro, and by the time that Wiz had gone in for the combo, Gakis was already the focus of the turret. So even though he popped his ultimate pretty much needlessly because he wasn't tanking the turret at that point, I think they both got a little bit confused as to who was taking the damage. And Gakis there, you saw, had to back off, unfortunately.
And then, like, by the time they kind of realized it was way too late for Wiz to be able to back away, so it was like, well, we've got to try now. But one thing I want to talk about now is take a look at this top lane. We've been talking about how bad of a matchup this is for Zergoth. So far, he's 5 CS ahead of Tolkien.
He shouldn't
He's doing a fantastic job.
Like that's just it. He shouldn't be. I think it's more of a Tolkien is really not committing to the poke that he can put onto a Maokai. You can essentially force him out of lane.
Zergoth actually just teleported to the bottom lane here.
Okay.
There wasn't really that much of an opportunity, I feel. I mean, you've got to go for Dragon now, surely, but this is probably going to be a top lane tier 1 going down because...
Yeah.
Well, Nutri can just go up and help push that. It might just be a trade in the end.
It'll be a trade because look how low the bot lane tier 1 is, plus the flash is gone from Jokerism. They don't want to let him risk going down. So this shouldn't be a complete waste of time. They may even try and push onto this tier 2 now, given how fairly well sort of good health the tier 1 has in the top lane. Yeah, I just kind of interested about that teleport. Maybe the plan all along was to try and go for a dive on the tier 1 as opposed to try and make a pick. But they're going to go and push onto this tier 2 now as well. And even with Ped there, I don't know if they can defend it. Yes, they can. They're just going to back off here with that Pillar of Filth.
Yeah, they knew Lucchesi was on his way down. But as well, you got to bear in mind Tolkien has his teleport available, and there was a ward in River. Obviously, they don't know where the ward is, but it was very likely that that was a possibility for the full flank to come on in. But
and they've given the Rift Herald away now, and that really, I don't know where they're going to make use of the Rift Herald. I imagine they're going to give it over to Nutri.
Yeah.
I think he's likely to head towards that bot lane. I don't think mid lane is a lane where you're going to get any joy, even with that Rift Herald. And now they're actually going to leave Zergoth in this bot lane because that tier 1's gone down. So when you lose that tier 1, you do often rotate your bot lane top very quickly just to push onto the tower more rapidly than you would so with your top laner.
Well, we'll see if that's going to be the case, Special. Still in this mid lane, pushing away. I want to take a look at the CS numbers in the mid lane because Lucchesi has been having a hard time up against the Sizir. I mean, we already talked about how it's a difficult matchup, but around a 15 CS lead has been built up for Special, and these guys are starting to hit like level 10 now in the mid lane. This is going to be the point where Special really starts to have an impact in the game. Azir is one of these champions that scales incredibly well. Beyond his first item, it just becomes terrifying.
So Vedius was talking about this. He doesn't really think Lucchesi is a player that has a lot of map pressure. That he thinks, Lucchesi has classically been known as a guy that will win his lane pretty hard and then just snowball from being so far ahead in that sense. But actually, Special is going to town in this mid lane in terms of pressuring Lucchesi, and is going to force him to back. Does have the teleport so he can make it back to lane. But in all honesty, the more you force Lissandra to burn her teleport for selfish purposes to get back to farm CS, the less impact she's going to have across the map.
And this again goes back to that matter of lack of map pressure. If you're forced to use that teleport just to get back into lane, you don't have that to threaten other lanes with and to try and make plays with. But He's not actually going to use it. Lucchesi just going to be walking back to lane. Obviously, he does have that glacial path, so you can get there faster than most mid laners, but
it's also because Nutri covered the mid lane for him. So had Nutri not stepped up with that Rift Herald and covered the mid lane, then Lucchesi probably would have burnt his teleport to save his turret. But Nutri, good positioning once again. I want to pick up on the fact that we've only seen really 2 mid lane Lissandras being played in the ESL Premiership. Gakis doing a lot of damage. He has to be careful. Oh my word, what are you doing, buddy?
Flashes forward to try and finish off Jokerism, and it is going to force Jokerism to cancel his curtain call. So interesting play out of Gakis, but it works out.
Again, the aggression from Gakis probably a little bit less calculated in that sense, but managed to stop it regardless. This is what I mean about the matchup here in the bot lane, by the way. You can just force Maokai out so far.
Yeah, this is kind of a trade that Maokai can't stay in for a long time. He's going to have that sustain, so we'll be able to heal himself up again. And I think one thing as well is the meta's different now to the last time we saw Gnar versus Maokai. I think Maokai, its sustain-wise, fares a little bit better.
Oh yeah, with the Grasp of the Undying, he has got pretty ridiculous sustain. But even with that, Gnar should still be able to push him out of lane. Just depends how much pressure you can put under turret, how well you can balance the minion waves. So I was talking about the 2 mid lane Lissandras that we've seen in the ESL Premiership. There's been Kadril, who has been the epitome of a good mid lane Lissandra, and now we've seen Lucchesi, who's kind of played it a little bit more differently. But Kadril also realistically lost his lane, right? You know, going up against Special. Special is a very good lane opponent. Oh, they're going to go into Tolkien.
Has been found in this bottom lane, and Plex is here to try and deal the damage, but the teleport from Lucchesi is going to force them away, and here we go, using that Frozen Tomb. Zergoth will be going down, but Plex looking for the 2v1, but he just doesn't have the HP. Has to heal himself, but Lucchesi will finish off the kill. You're absolutely right. Here we go with Special coming into the lane, looking for Lucchesi, who jumps over the wall with a beautiful glacial path, and he cannot get onto Tolkien either. Special left on his own.
Okay, and then we were just talking about not affecting the map, and suddenly he uses that teleport in a prime location. They're going to go aggressive here.
Here we go. Nutri entering this top lane. Wiz is going to have to be the target because Gakis has managed to get away. Nice culling onto Nutri, but it's not really going to do that much damage. Curtain Call will come out once more. Wiz getting their heal off at the last second, and Nutri's actually been ignited. Might just go down, and it's a 1-for-1 so far. Teleports being channeled left, right, and center, but it looks like both teams have to disengage in the end. Tolkien may be looking for more, but isn't going to be able to find it.
If I'm completely honest, I've not been impressed with Nocturnal Plex this game so far. His spears have not been landing. He's not been putting the pressure down that an early game Nidalee can be putting down. He's been farming pretty well, but apart from that, he just needs to either maintain that form or start to be a little bit more effective across the map. Nutri has been in the right place at the right time, and yes, he went down there, but he's always been looking to make things happen. Plex has definitely been looking, but I'm not sure how well it's been working out so far.
I think the key thing in this matchup is these guys have both been well-renowned UK junglers for a long time, and it's kind of, this game is less about mechanical ability, it's more about actual knowledge. But Zergoth actually might be in a whole lot of trouble. Lucchesi doing his best to try and defend this tower, and will be able to do so. 2 of them go down. Lucchesi survives, and now Nutri trying to get onto Plex. I was fully expecting Lucchesi to go down there. Just pretty much 1v3 defends Nutri arriving at the last second.
I think they were very greedy for the tower there. They thought they could force it down. The minions had just been cleared out, though. You suddenly get a huge bonus to resistances of your towers when that happened. They weren't expecting the Lucchesi ultimate to be up as well, seeing as that was just used in the bot lane, so timings were a little bit off there. And actually, at this point in time, there is no magic resistance on Zergoth, and there's an Abyssal Scepter first item for Lucchesi. So you saw the tree, who at this point in time is usually fairly tanky, just get absolutely slaughtered by that ultimate from Lissandra. She's doing a lot of damage right now at 202.
Yeah, she really is. And that's going to be kind of terrifying for the side of Exertus. They have a massive, massive mid laner to deal with. And I mean, we've been talking about how later on in the game, and in fact, in all times in the game, Azir typically has an advantage in this matchup. Well, having those extra kills onto Lucchesi is going to negate that lead that he managed to accrue in the laning phase, and now it's going to be a matter of, when we get to these team fights, if Lucchesi can be that horrendous Lissandra that is just so difficult to deal with because you can't focus it, but you have to deal with the amount of pressure it's putting out on your team.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how much pressure or how well Special can use his ultimate, because if you can use that Emperor's Divide when they try and go for that all-in engage, you can isolate people and then take them down. That's kind of what the Azir is going to be good for in this situation. My worry for Exertus is that they're never going to really have a Maokai that will deal with the Gnar split pressure. Oh, here comes Lucchesi again. His ultimate is available.
Yeah, he's going in looking for Gakis right now. Lucchesi going to have to settle for Wiz, though. Unbreakable will come out, and that's going to be a nice cocoon from Nutri, but again, they just cannot commit to going on that Alistair. Way too tanky.
Okay, what happened to the Lucchesi that we were talking about earlier? Because now he's suddenly all over the map. He's trying to apply pressure in every single lane. Wasn't so successful there and did give up his mid lane turret for the woes, but it doesn't matter too much because look in the bot lane. Zergoth is getting pushed out. He's going to have to sit under his turret and just clear waves. And now Lucchesi can help clear in this top lane. Jokerism is going to try and farm, but I'm not even sure that 3 members can push onto a 2-item Lissandra at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they can either, but Zergoth going to be doing a good job just to be CSing in this bottom lane. But I mean, I was talking about how Zergoth was actually winning out a little bit. Oh, Special might be in trouble here. Curtain Call going to come out. Special immediately has to flash. Will get exhausted. A nice Emperor's Divide, but is it going to be enough to keep him alive? Nutri looking to finish him, but a nice little Conquering Sands will pull him to safety.
In the meantime, Lucchesi got a kill onto Wiz somehow in that top lane, despite Nocturnal Plex and Gakis being there. And Choke just seems to have all the right moves at the moment, and they're going to push onto this mid lane tier 2 after having forced Special away and using that Emperor's Divide. Going to have to recruit in Zergoth to defend it. In the meantime, he's going to give up pressure on that top bot lane tier 2, so all of the lanes being out-pressured right now. I'm not sure how Alistair went down either in that top lane, because that was a 2 versus 1 or 1 versus 3 at some point.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happened on that one, but looks like summoners were burnt as well at the time, but certainly looking a lot more even than I would have said it was earlier on, and Choke maybe with a slight advantage on this one. They're looking to try and grab another Rift Herald for themselves, and there's absolutely no answer whatsoever going to come out from Exertus.
Yeah, so the gold is actually fairly even, given it's equal in turrets and 7-3 on kills at this point in time. And I guess maybe just due to the CS differential.
I mean, look at the CS in the mid and bottom lane.
Yeah, the mid, bottom, and jungle, you've got a little bit of a CS difference in the favour of Choke in the top lane, but mostly the CS difference is being made up across the solo lanes and the jungle. You'd expect that, though. Nidalee does farm like a monster in that jungle compared to the Elise. I mean, Elise isn't a bad farmer by any stretch of the imagination. However, you know, everyone knows how well Nidalee farms. Yeah. In that mid lane, Lucchesi did not do well in lane versus the Azir. It was a tough matchup for him, and that's why he's now started to...
Zergoth is actually in a lot of trouble in this bottom lane. He's getting chunked on down by Tolkien, who's going for the all-in, throws the boulder at max range, but can't quite find his target. Zergoth narrowly escaping with his life. I just want to point out, in the jungle, we talked about how this isn't the aggressive Plex that we're used to seeing. Oh, Gakis actually gets caught up in this top lane. Has gone for a very early QSS though, so he's going to be okay.
That's something I've been noticing from Gakis, by the way. He's doing that a lot.
Very early QSS.
And it's very effective.
This is something that actually Gakis has done a lot in the past as well. I'm pretty sure last finals we were seeing early QSSs coming out from him. But yeah, in this jungle, Plex, we haven't seen him be as aggressive as we're used to. However, he has just finished his Rod of Ages, which is going to be a massive item for him going further into this game. I think this is the point where he's going to start to step up and look towards just putting out more pressure on the map.
I think Plex is just very used to outpacing junglers in the UK scene, but Nutri has been matching him, like I said, blow for blow, and he hasn't had the opportunity to do what he usually does. And in general, I said this yesterday, I think Plex is a great jungler, but I think he's looked good versus bad junglers, really. He's always been on par with other junglers, but he doesn't look like that ridiculous standout jungler as we usually see Lucchesi, though.
Going aggressive onto Lucchesi. He doesn't have his ultimate available. One more auto will do it, and Gakis finds himself the 1v1. We were saying, how are they going to deal with this Lissandra? That's exactly how. Yeah,
Lissandra had blown her ultimate. It only just became available, by the way, as she went down. So if that had been a couple of seconds longer, maybe she could have turned it around. But the QSS proving a very vital tool here for Gakis in the 1v1 earlier on, burning that ultimate, obviously, and getting out alive. Yeah, I think that was an interesting one for me there. Lucchesi had obviously burnt his flash previously. He also came out of that glacial path and hit the turret, and obviously then came back off where he would have wanted to be, and then that allowed Gakis to finish him off. Gakis has been super aggressive so far. The only thing I am still worried about for Exertus is this side lane matchup between Maokai and Gnar. It's really tough on the Maokai, especially now that Gnar's got that frozen mallet. He will just be able to chase him down. He's not showing any signs of sort of letting up in the kind of semi-aggressive build that he's been running either, with that Hex Drinker finish too. You know, Tolkien now, there is literally nothing that Maokai can do in this matchup. He's just going to be forced out time and time again. That percentage health-based damage will start to chunk him down very, very quickly. And even under turret, he's going to take the damage too. But they're going to go in on him.
Yeah, they are indeed. Looks like Tolkien is going to be the target. Gakis has arrived as well. Tolkien has to flash away. Lucchesi actually starting to focus down Zergoth, but Special is arriving on the scene. Tolkien drops as Gakis finds himself yet another kill. The culling is going to burn Luxi's health bar. Is going to try and get some damage, gets a Ring of Frost, and will get away on the Glacial Path.
Yeah, that's a little neat trick that a lot of Lissandras do that most people kind of forget about. You glacial path away, you walk towards your enemy, you ring a frost them, and then click your glacial path. You've stunned them, they can't chase you, and then
you still move the same distance.
Yeah, exactly. You've still moved the same distance you were initially intending on going. It's something that a lot of Lissandra players forget to do when they're looking for the escape, or they're trying to bait and engage or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And nice play from Lucchesi to survive that one. Still 4-1-2 on that Lissandra, so definitely a huge threat with Nutri actually being aggressed upon right now. Ignite going to be taken away, and he will go down straight away. Plex is looking for more, but gets shot down by Zoko. And now the rest of Exertus are looking to chase Zergoth, trying to find a target for Twisted Advance, but he just can't get close enough.
I'll tell you what, that Ignite has been a little bit more impressive than we potentially thought it would be.
Yeah.
Jokerism looking for the steal onto the Dragon here. Doesn't get it. It actually goes down, I think, to the Balmy Cinder tick from the Maokai.
Yeah. Zergoth was blocking the curtain call, though, so
yeah,
it would have been A-okay. But I mean, that is going to be the first Dragon of the game for Exertus, but look at the gold right now. This is
literally
such a close game between these two teams. 9-6 on the kills, 3-3 for towers, and 1-1 on dragons. This is about as close as it could get.
Yeah, I also think it's going to be difficult for Jokerism to position in these fights just because of the Azir. You know, Jhin isn't exactly an exceptionally long-range AD carry when it comes to his auto attacks. And yes, his Curtain Call is an amazingly long-range ability, but that's really only a part of his damage. Most of it comes through the form of his ability to step up, get those crits with the final auto attack from his, his four auto attack rotation. And I think he's going to find it very difficult to position against an Azir, because I think anybody finds it difficult to position against an Azir. But you're going to be taking damage from those soldiers, and Jhin will be a prime target for it.
Yeah, I think Azir and Lissandra actually offer some similar things in team fights. Obviously, they are different playstyles, but they both offer a lot of zone control in team fights, which I think later on in the game, if we do see some big 5v5s, it's going to be the positioning of these two mid laners and how they opt to use that zone control that they can bring.
Yeah, I think Lissandra offers more of a threat to, a singular pick. She can always potentially burst down one of your carries. Azir is more of a team-wide zone control. Yes, I agree with you in the sense that you don't want to get near Lissandra. That's kind of the zone control that she provides. But Azir is a little bit safer in the respect he doesn't have to get close. He doesn't have to get as close. Here comes Curtain Call.
Special in a whole heap of trouble. There's nobody anywhere near him right now. Cocoon isn't going to land. Curtain Call crits him for a good chunk of damage, and he will get bound at the end there, but again, he's managed to get away from this one. Did cost him his flash, but I don't think that's something he's not willing to pay. Tolkien is going to be able to get a two-man Gnar, but Zergoth is pretty damn tanky at this point. Going to be able to flash away as well. Zoko is not going to be able to chase this one. Special gets exhausted, and Gakis trying to get some damage with the culling. But all in all, everybody escaping with their lives.
Yeah, Maokai, the prime target for Zoko, by the way, with that subjugate. He's just making himself very tanky. I mean, Maokai is one of those champions that Trundle just loves to play into.
And this is the beauty of the Trundle support as well. It's like, yes, you're starved of gold, but if their top laner is tanky, then it's like you've got those items. It's like you've got more gold than you've actually acquired for yourself. It's a similar thing to Alistar in that you use that ultimate, and it's essentially like having an extra couple of items.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, Zergoth able to escape there despite the subjugate and the frozen tomb being used on him. I just want to point out the vision control and what actually allowed Choke to initiate that play. You look around the Baron and the red side jungle, there's so many wards there for Choke, and they were able to rotate around and catch Special unaware. When that curtain call came down, you saw the collapse onto him, and it's all just due to some very good vision control by Choke. It's like you've actually split the map from top to bottom in terms of vision control here, because most of the bottom half seems to be controlled by Exertus, where most of the top half is now just changing, but was controlled by Choke.
Yeah.
And they're going to now probably notice they need to clear some wards out of their own jungle, but they managed to take some control of that Baron area now, so they've gained a little bit more, I guess, knowledge and vision of what could be going on between their jungle and mid lane area.
Yeah, speaking of wards, there's some really, really good vision control coming out from Exertus. They have complete defensive vision across the map, but if you take a look at their ward line, it's basically horizontal across the middle of the map. And that means that it's so hard for Choke, as you say, to get towards that Baron area without being spotted. However, Choke's vision is completely around that top half of the map on both sides of the Baron. Luxi actually
ulting
to use his ult on himself there. Gakis definitely starting to get pretty terrifying. Culling it will come out, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to this one. But
I don't think
Wiz is actually coming around the side.
I don't think Lucchese
can.
Lucchese can fight that really.
No.
Gakis is super strong right now, and he has the QSS, or rather the Mercurial Scimitar finished. So it's not a matchup that Lucchese can win. But the interesting thing is they've employed this 1-3-1, and the only person they can really commit to that top lane seems to be Gakis. And it's kind of throwing a spanner in the works because Zergoth can't split versus Tolkien. And who's going to split and have no... I mean, is Special going to split and have no teleport versus this Lysandra?
That's the question, isn't it? One thing I want to point out, which we haven't really talked about that much, we've mentioned CS leads and deficits, and there is a massive one in the mid lane, 30 CS, but let's just bear in mind that Special has 330 CS at 28 minutes in the game. That is an obscenely high amount of minions.
He's been farming a storm. Really has.
Yeah, in that bottom lane as well, tier 2 tower going to go down, so that's a nice little boon coming out for Choke.
I don't think Xertus know how to deal with this 1-3-1. They can't split versus Gnar because Maokai, especially with that Frozen Mallet, is going to have no chance versus him. And they don't have anyone to commit to splitting versus Lysandra because they don't have the teleport. If they do commit, they may just lose something. There's a teleport flank coming out from Maokai, though. Jokerism on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Jokerism is not even going to be the target. Actually, it is. Zergoth decides to turn around in the end. But look at this. See. Jokerism can't even move during that whole shenanigan. And now we're going to see Xertus turn onto the Baron. But their inhibitor is in so much trouble. Lucchese and Tolkien both pushing on this one, but neither of them have teleport available. So surely the Baron will go over here. Nutri should be able to, or Plex, sorry, should be able to get this smite down. Nutri did end up falling in the end, so the Baron will be secured, but it is a 1-for-1 trade. Zoko, actually, I'm not sure you really want to be there, my friend. He will end up going down. Special gets a consolation prize right there. And now, actually, they're looking to capitalize. Tolkien maybe stayed a little bit too long on this one. And Luxie gets caught by a spit. Ooh. Nice ultimate onto Plex to deny the chase and slow everybody down. That saved Tolkien's life.
Here comes Wiz, though. He's looking to make a flank play onto Lucchese here. Lucchese's just used that Glacial Path. It'll be up moderately soon because of the cooldown reduction he has. There it goes.
Yeah,
gets away.
Denies the movement speed with that slow, and Wiz still trying to chase this. Oh, Plex throws the spear against the snipe. They managed to find him in the end. Plex getting revenge for the ultimate right
Absolutely blind spear as well. And are they going to just say, we don't mind about that bot lane, or they're just going to send Zergoth down there to deal with it? That was a trade that they were willing to make for that Baron, because now they're hoping to take more from the Baron that they've just picked up. They can potentially take that mid lane inhibitor. Then they'll likely, as a team, want to push down through that bot lane with the Baron minions just to have a very easy push against the super minions.
Man, so far, Manalite and the Banditos have one hell of a series to live up to later on today. This is just our third and fourth place game. Imagine what our finals are going to be like. But here we go. Mid lane inhibitor beginning to get siege. Actually, Gak is tanking the tower. Needs to get out of there because he's getting incredibly low. Wiz going to be the target. Pops his ultimate way too late and will get taken off the map. Cullen going to come out to try and slow Tolkien down, and he will have to back away from that one. Gakis so aggressive, and this is the toaster 1, 2, 3 that we've been missing.
Definitely, that's way more aggressive than we've seen Toaster play in many, many months. My issue here is with the 4-man push in the mid lane. If you're going to commit Maokai to the bot without teleport, you can't make those kind of tower dive plays. You can't force onto the tower because Maokai is such a big tool in doing that kind of play. You know, he needs to be there. He needs to be the one that takes the initial turret aggro, or the Alistair does. But you need both of them, really, because if Alistair goes down pretty quickly, because yes, he's got his ultimate, but as soon as that wears off, he's going to be a pretty easy kill. You need someone else to pick up the slack while the rest of the team manage to do the damage. There's a huge wave in that bot lane, but again, that is the super minions that will push back very quickly for Choke. What do Xertus do now? Do they push down that mid lane again with Zergoth? That looks to be the tactic, given that he is now moving with them.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is Xertus still have Baron for a little while. They've got to use it while they can. We saw Zergoth pushing out that bottom lane, so the super minions weren't going to be a big factor for a little while. Lucchese actually getting chunked out by the Culling, and Gak is going to flash for it. Lucchese doesn't even have time to react. He had his ultimate and Zhonya's, but neither of them came out. This is going to be the mid lane inhibitor.
It might be the game.
Gakis can be this player that will solo carry, and he's looking to do it right now. We're on to the Nexus towers. Zergoth tanking up the damage from Nutri. That's one tower going down already, and the team fight begins. Zoko on this front line is going to be tanking up with specials here, and he has a lot of damage to work with. Gakis jumping onto Tolkien. The crits come out, and it's a double kill. Nutri repelling, but what goes up must just come down, and it looks like Plex is going to be able to get away with his life on this one. Curtain Call comes out once more just to try and clear the minions, but it is too little too late. Exertus Esports, they've taken the Nexus Towers, they're taking extra kills, and they're going to be able to take this first game in this best of 3 for the 3rd place slot.
Oh my word. Gakis stepped up this game. This has been a
9-0-2.
A very different Gakis to what we've been seeing in the ESL Premiership so far. This is a flashback to the last season finals Gakis, where he literally steps up to the plate.